Oh, hello guys, this is yes, another Kirko Paints video. And yeah, this time, you know, the videos are not going to be posted as often, but yeah, like ORC license drafts were released. So let's just see the whole license. I'm kind of excited. So product identity means trademarks, trade dress, non-functional creative expressions are not essential to or can be varied without altering. The ideas, methods of operation the game, including works of visual art, music, and sound design, are clearly expressed and sufficiently um, delineated characters. Character organization, dialogue settings, locations, words, plot, storylines, including proper nouns and adjectives, names, and titles derived from proper nouns. The term product identity shall in no event include elements that have been previously designated as org content, adapted org content that are exclusive property of one or more third parties, mm, or that are public domain. Okay, that's pretty cool. So as far as I remember, as far as I understand, um, essentially just just lore and stuff like this. Just the original content that someone made, overall like lore wise and stuff like this. Then it's a trademark product. And however, all the mechanics of the game that are created count as ORC content, therefore are legal. So as far as I understand, this is the gist of it. Or content means one, any material that would otherwise constitute product identity, but that has been expressly identified as org content by licensor. 2. Those expressions of ideas and methods operation of a game that are comprised of systems, produces rules, laws, institutions, um, heuristics, routines, functional elements, commands, structures, principles, methodologies, operations, devices, and conditions of play. Delimitations, restraints, constraints, allowances, and affordances inherent in gameplay, including expressions describing the function of providing instructions to the following: creation and play of player non-player characters, including statistics, attributes, statbox, traits, classes, jobs, alignment, professions, proficiencies, abilities, spells, skills, actions, reactions, interactions, resources, and equipment. Systems and classifications applicable to gameplay, including alignments, backgrounds, classes, experience points, levels, and leveling up. Encounters, combat initiative, and turn order, movement, monster statistics, creature types, traps, conditions, buff and debuff, terrain types, challenge ratings, difficulty classes, skill checks, saving throws, resting and resource management, classifications of magic items, spell and ability effects, looting items and equipment, diplomacy systems, dialogue options, and outcome determination. Methods of determining success, failure, outcome of any expression such as the following, or such success, failures, or outcomes, and methods and mediums which players play the game, including dice rolling, random number generation, coin flipping, card drawing to play, applying modifiers results to a chance, creating or filling in character sheets, moving and interacting with tokens or figurines, drawing maps and illustrations, speaking, messaging, acting, pantomime, writing notes, asking questions, and making thematics. Okay. For avoidance of doubt, the org content expressly includes product identity absent and to limited extent expressly designed as such the licensor in the notice published pursuant Article 3. So yeah, that's as I said. As far as I see, the rules are the things that are not rules are things that are not copyrighted themselves. However, original works such as original storylines, plots, and lore are copyrighted, and characters also. Okay, that makes sense. That seems completely fair to me. And because a lot of people say that my voice sounds sarcastic when I say things. I don't mean it sarcastically. Okay, I mean it honestly that this sounds like a fair deal. Adapted org content means descriptive works based on the org content that you create, the limited extent of which, such as the right works, would otherwise constitute org content. Adapted org content expressly excludes works that would constitute product identity. Okay, copyright and similar rights means copyright and or similar rights closely related to copyright, including without limitation performance, broadcast, sound recording, and sui generis database rights, without regard to how the rights are labeled or categorized. In no event shall the copyright and similar rights include trademark or patent rights. Effective technological measures means those measures that, in absence of proper authority, may not be circumvented under laws fulfilling obligations under Article 11 of the WIPO Copyright Treaty adopted on December 20th, 1996 and or similar international agreements. So yeah, as far as I can see, I'm no expert in law. Okay, I have not finished like law school or anything like this. However, like the most important thing that only thing that is just like copyrighted identity products like lores and stuff like this, but not mechanics. I mean, that makes sense because mechanics, like the rolling a die to determine a result, is a concept. Which, even though I'm not like a legal expert or anything, I know from experience, like not from like direct experience, but I know because I got bored, so I decided to like see, hey, how actually like YouTube copyright system works, because I don't want to like infringe on it. So I just like looked from some stuff and understood from the papers I saw that ideas themselves cannot be copyrighted. Like a concept cannot be copyrighted, but original things that are completely original are capable of being copyrighted. So, for example, you cannot copyright like snake people, but you can copyright like a very specific snake person because it's a character, or maybe like a very specific race of snake people. But someone else can create a race of snake people that is very similar but is called different and looks a bit different. Okay, license rights means right granted to you subject to the terms and conditions of ORC license, which are limited to all copyright and similar rights apply use of ORC content, and that licensor authority to license. Licensor means any individual or entity granting rights under ORC license or ORC license. So it generates database rights means or other than copyright resulting from Directive 96/9 EC of the European Parliament and of the Council of 11th March 1996 on the legal protection of databases as amended and or succeeded, as well as any other essentially equivalent rights anywhere in the world. Term means the term of the copyright and similar rights licensed herein. Use or used means to use material by any means or proceeds that require permission under the license rights, such as protection, reproduction, creation of derivative works, public display, public performance, distribution, dissemination, communication, dissemination, communication, or important to make material available to the public, including in the ways that the members of the public may access the material from a place at a time individually chosen by them. You or your means individual exerting the rights granted under this ORC license. Yeah. So yeah, just to make sure, it lasted like 12 minutes. So yeah. So far that's pretty good, you know? That's pretty good. I expected that Paizo will deliver a good thing, and they delivered on it. Primary grants to you subject the terms of conditions of ORC license. For term license or hereby grants you a worldwide royalty-free hereby grants you a worldwide royalty-free, no subjective, non-exclusive, irrevocable license to exercise the license rights in the ORC content to use the ORC content in whole, part, license, or hereby authorizes you to exercise licensed rights in all media and formats, whether now known or hereafter created, and to make technical modifications necessary to do so. Licensor hereby waives and or agrees not to assert any right of authority to forbid you from marketing technical modifications necessary to exercise the license rights, including technical modifications necessary to circumvent effective technological measures. So yeah, so far so good. Grant of adopted ORC content by you. You hereby receive an offer from licensor to exercise the license rights on express condition that you do hereby grant every recipient of the adopted or content an offer to exercise the license rights of the adopted ORC content under the terms of conditions hereof pursuant which such adopted ORC content shall be licensed as ORC content to such represent. You may not not offer or impose any additional defined terms on conditions on, or apply any effective technological measures to the ORC content if doing so restricts exercise of the license rights by any represent or content. So yeah, essentially you share your basic like contents. You share your basic like mechanical content. As far as I understand, I'm no lawyer yet again. I feel that I need to say this every time. I'm no lawyer, but this essentially, as far as I understand, probably go to the rules lawyer. The rules lawyer, he's way better at this than me. Essentially, just from what I understand, the from what I understand, this essentially yet again means that if you publish under the ORC license, you agree to essentially just share your mechanics, not like lore and stuff like this, not like lore and like lore creations. However, you do share mechanics, and others also under the ORC license share the mechanics with you. So yeah, that's at least my understanding of this in the simplest terms possible. Database rights, where license rights include SUI generates database rights, apply you use or content. This ORC license grants you the right to extract, reuse, reproduce, and use all or substantial proportion of contents of the contents of the database, and if you include all substantial proportion of database concerns in a database which you have SUI generates database rights, then the database which you have the rights but not individual content shall constitute adapted ORC content limitations. Nothing in the ORC license constitutes or may construed as permission to assert imply that you are or your use of the ORC content is connected with sponsored, endorsed, granted official status by the licensor or others designated to receive attribution hereunder. Makes sense. Moral rights such as the right of integrity are not licensed under the ORC license nor are publicity, publicity, privacy, and or similar personality rights. However, the extent possible, the licensor waives and agrees not to assert any such rights held by the licensor to the limited extent necessarily allow you to exercise the license rights but not otherwise. To the extent possible, the licensor waives you any right to collect royalties from you to the exercise of the licensed rights and use of ORC content, whether directly through collecting society under any voluntary or waivable, I don't know how do you pronounce it, simulator or compulsory licensing scheme. Yeah, so as far as I understand, so yeah, you can just like make money of your own content, so yeah. Just need to search up the definition of the word. Just need to search up the definition of the word to make sure, because you know, not everyone understands the old talk. So yeah, for middle English. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So yeah, essentially the licensor just gives up on setting any royalties on you for using the content as long as it is within ORC. Required notice: the grant of this ORC license to you expressly conditions you, including the notice statements describe substances A to C below, reasonable manner based on the medium, means and context which you used the ORC content. ORC notice following the statements designing the location of the terms of ORC license. Okay, this product is licensed under ORC license created by the library con UFTX00 number and available online at various locations, including and other warranties are disclaimed as set for therein. Okay. Attribution notice. A statement based on reasonable good efforts that identifies each light sensor ingredient of the ORC content you used any other designate to receive attributions, including all upstream licensor of ORC content upon which your adopted ORC content is based or derived from any responsible manner so requested by such parties. For avoidance of doubt, both licensor and all parties similarly credited under license attribution notice should be included in your attribution notice unless otherwise reasonably indicates by such parties. A statement indicating how you wish to be reasonably credited with respect to the adapted or content license by you under this ORC license, including by pseudonym if designed. Okay. That's pretty good. And product identity notice statement based on reasonable good faith efforts that identifies the elements of your product identity, if any, contained within work you use ORC content. For avoidance of doubt, such designation never limits your rights in product identity nor limits any downstream license use of the adapted ORC content in the event of a conflict between your designation of product identity and the definition of ORC content. The definition shall control. Sample notice: by the way of example, only the following notice would comply with the requirements of ORC license. Okay. So far, so good. Warranty limitation of liability. Licensor licenses the ORC content as available no makes, no representations or warranties of any kind concerning the ORC content, whether express, implied, statutory, or altered. This includes without limitation warranties, title, merchability, fitness of a particular purpose, non-infringement, absence of latent or the defects accuracy, the presence and absence of errors, whether or not known or discoverable, um, where disclaimers or warranties are not allowed in full or in part. This disclaimer might not apply to you to the extent possible. In no event will the licensor be able to you on any legal theory, including without limitation, negligence, or otherwise any direct, special, indirect, incidental, consequential, cumulative, explanatory, or other losses, costs, expenses, or damages arising out of this ORC license or use of ORC content if licensor has been advised the possibility of such losses, costs, expenses, or damages, or limitation of liability is not allowed in full or in part. Limitation may not apply to you. Disclaimer warranties and limitation liability provided above shall be interpreted in a manner that, to the extent possible, most closely approximates absolute disclaimer and waiver of all liability. Okay, and other terms of conditions. Termination and remedies. Your license to use ORC content will terminate automatically if you fail to comply with the terms of conditions of the ORC license. Your license will be restrained effective as of date of termination. If you cure such violation on a going forward basis without the obligation to destroy inventory at hand within 60 days of your discovery of the violation, if the licensor with such a violation in writing, no such termination shall affect, limit, or disrupt rights of any licensor or downstream license to any ORC content under any ORC license. Only the licensor and licensors upstream licensors under the ORC. Yeah, try to say this 5 times faster. Try to say this five times fast. Yeah, licensors under ORC license, which you are deemed to be in party herewith may bring enforcement action against you here under this constitutes a limitations or license or remedies with respect to license grant in ORC content here under. However, this ORC license never limits licensor's remedies in any with respect to licensor's product identity, nor does it limit licensor's right to offer their ORC content on or product identity under separate terms of conditions. Okay, and modifications. This ORC license may not be suspended, modified, updated, repeated, revoked, or deauthorized. Neither you nor licensor may modify the terms of this ORC license. However, you may enter into a separate arrangement of your own making, provided such agreement does not seek to modify the terms hereof. This ORC license does not and shall not be interrupted to reduce, limit, restrict, or impose conditions on any use of ORC content that would lawfully be made without permissions under this ORC license. To be to the extent possible. If any provision of this ORC license is deemed unenforceable, it shall be automatically reformed to the minimum extent necessary to make it enforceable. If the provision cannot be reformed, it shall be served from this ORC license without affecting the enforceability of the remaining terms and conditions. No term or condition of this ORC license will be waived, and no failure to comply it constituted unless expressly agreed by the licensor. Nothing in this ORC license constitutes or may be interpreted as a limitation upon or waiver of any privileges and immunities that apply to the licensor or you, including the legal processes of any jurisdictions or authority. Yeah, pretty cool. Now, if we just, oh yeah, I made a new channel, so that's a thing. So let me just find Legal Eagle. And check if he made anything on like OG or ORC. ORC. So yeah, he did react to the OGL thing, which was pretty illegal. But he did not react so far to anything like this. And guessing from that, he may possibly do this in. Yeah, he may possibly like post it quite literally right after the day of this, like right tomorrow from this day, which will be kind of late later, which will be way earlier than this is sent out, because this will be probably like 3 days after that. But hey, yeah. As far as I see, the ORC license is pretty good. It's pretty good as far as I understand, even though I'm not a lawyer. The terms and conditions, to my knowledge, to my limited, however, somewhat educated knowledge, this is probably like the best deal we can get. As far as I'm not seeing this like, well, I guess we cannot get anything more. I mean this in a sense that this license doesn't seem like to cover like every possible thing, but so far just like the terms themselves seem very good. Okay. And yeah, I don't know. I'll probably give the feedback later because, as you can see, oh wait, no, you cannot see my clock. Well, yeah, it's really late. I need to end, and I'm kind of tired. So just remember, guys, try to find your own path, you freaks of nature.